one's Marty, and where's Marty taking us?
Marty's taking us to Maine to Acadia National Park, and that's somewhere I usually go in the fall, but apparently I know he mentioned going a lot often in the summer. So I'm just curious if,
What
some
it's
of the
like.
experiences might be different, what it's like,
Is
Yeah.
it a coastal park?
It's a coastal national park. They have part of the national park is kind of actually off on an island, so you can take a
Okay.
boat out there. There's a lighthouse. There's Cadillac Mountain, which you often hear about because it's the first place that gets sunrise in the continental United States. So
Oh,
a lot of
that's
people like to
fascinating.
go up to Cadillac Mountain for sunrise. So yeah, it should be really interesting.
Yeah, no, he's visited several times, so he must live local, is what I'm kind of
Yeah,
expecting.
I'm wondering. I don't know if we should ask him or if he's. I know sometimes they have like at Acadia too. They have like a artist in residence program, and I've
Okay.
actually thought about like maybe it'd be fun to apply,
Yeah.
because then you get to stay, you get to live in the park for X number of months through different seasons, and then I guess part of what, so they give you a place to stay and live, and then you need to like do interactive programs that are art related, or
Oh, that sounds amazing.
yeah, produce a piece of art or writing, or something like that. So I guess
You
there's
should
an
totally
opportunity.
do that, April. Why are you not doing
I know. I
that?
so want to do that. Like, sorry, Jeff,
Oh,
I just got this gig.
I'll be back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go live in the park because I just to be there when it's quiet. Like even in the like
Yeah.
winter, I just think it'd be so amazing to experience the different seasons
Well, and I
that they.
think that, it's like, they do those like night at the museum or spending
Yeah,
overnight at the library or whatever those like
yeah,
kid interactive things but I think it's an interesting thing to be in a space, a park especially, kind of outside of the normal, like you're not a visitor
right.
anymore, like you're living there, you're in
No,
it,
right. Yeah, exactly. Kind of like behind the scenes, like you get it
Yeah.
right. You
Yeah.
get to
And I
explore
can
and just yeah.
only imagine how a park would feel after you stayed there for several days, like how it would feel like, like you own it, like you live there, like it would make the place
Yeah.
more your own, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right. I think it would. You'd feel some sort of ownership, like, I don't know, just
Yeah.
like here I go, I'm gonna drive to my cabin. I'm curious like where you get to stay, but yeah, just the quietness and the dark, a lot of these national parks, there's so much dark sky because you're away
Yeah,
from like the cities. And I just think it'd be so beautiful and wonderful just to be out in nature like
it
that.
would be. Well,
Oh,
and
okay. Now I gotta go look up the
go
application.
look up the application, because I think that's just, and I think most national parks that have a resident, like they do that, which I think we probably should do a whole, maybe we should interview somebody who's done that,
Oh, yeah, we
because
should.
um, like I said, I think that somebody else, Megan, you met Megan, she had once talked
Yeah.
about doing it in, oh, I can't remember the name of the park. It's a national park. It's a little tiny island up in the Great Lakes. And like, it's,
Oh, it's the maybe the Apostle Islands. There's
mm,
that. I don't know if that one's actually a national park now, but
God, where is it? Let me see. National
there's some islands up north of Minnesota,
Great
and
Lakes. It's
you're
like,
right,
I found
Michigan.
it because when I was looking at national parks, I was looking like, I want to go to all the national parks that are islands. And so I'd been to Catalina
Right.
Island and the Channel Islands, Isle Royale. That's it.
Oh, oh wow.
And so it's a tiny little island.
Ooh, we gotta
Um,
find someone to talk about Royale because I haven't
yeah,
been out there.
yeah,
I
because I
think
think
I
it's in
think
Lake
again
Superior.
it's
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's one of those parks you pretty much it's not got a lot of it's because it's a collection of islands. You're going to be canoeing or
Mm-hmm.
visiting it that way. It's more remote. I kind of like that.
It's solitude for backpackers and hikers, it says. And so they also do. So she had looked into doing an artist residency. She had applied for that also. And I think, I mean, you have to look into it, because I'm fascinated to hear like if they all do it similarly, because I think when she was looking
Right.
at it, it's like 3 to 6 months. Like it's not a whole year, it's a month period. So you just stay
Right.
for
Right.
that, whatever the duration is. And then they do want you to produce an art piece that you would leave,
Right.
and then teach a class of some sort as part of
Right.
your experience, which is, how hard could that be?
Yeah. How exactly? Yeah. How hard could that be? And just to be in that space and create something unique and original.
Yeah. Oh, here he is. Marty is here with
Oh,
us.
Marty's here. Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
It's funny. His last name is it? It's like Noki without the G.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so now I'm hungry. Okay, we'll let Marty in. Here we go.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Today we are talking with Marty, who wishes he could be in more than one place at one time. And if he had to teach a class, he would choose the topic, how to be human. He wants a goat during his travels and wishes he could spend a year in Alaska or the Rocky Mountains. His travel tip is just do it. And I couldn't agree more. I love it. So today he's sharing about Acadia National Park in Maine. So I'm super excited to hear about it, and welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Welcome, Marty. And so I'm going to start our famous 7-minute timer. There it goes. And and so can you just tell us, I mean, it sounds like you've been several times. Can you tell us a little bit about how many times you've been?
I don't know exactly how many times I've been there, but
Okay.
it's been several times over the past 10 years. And it was, I didn't even know the place existed. I happened to be looking for a place to do a vision quest, kind of searching for myself and finding myself. And one summer it was the only place that I could find available that I could drive to. I wanted to drive there. It's a pretty long drive. I was living in Baltimore. And so that's how I ended up there. And I've gone back many times since to do the same program. And I have learned it's very helpful to know a local if you're going to go to a national park, because they could take you places that other people don't know where to go. Right. So that's why I've gone back there, because I know some of the nooks and crannies where you don't have to run into as many people.
Oh, wonderful. So you mentioned going there several times. Have you been in several seasons, or do you tend to pick one time of the year that you like to go best?
I've always done the summer, but I'm actually thinking about going this fall. I've never done the fall, but I've heard it's beautiful up there in the fall. And
it is
less people in the fall, so I'm considering it.
Yeah. And so if you've been, what is something you would suggest to somebody? You mentioned to get to know a local, but do you have other tips for a first timer, visiting the park? What are some of your favorite places, or what you would suggest somebody who's never been to the park that they can't miss?
I was thinking 2 different places that I would recommend to people, and they're actually both tourist areas, but if you know where to go, you could kind of stay away from the crowds. One is Long Pond, which I think is one of the most beautiful lakes there. It is also the water reserve for the island, so it's not as busy there, but you could kayak and do other things on it. If you go there early in the morning and bear off to the left when you go, there's actually spaces along there where you could sit along the rocks and no one's around and go into the lake. Because once you get beyond a certain distance, you could actually go into the lake there, even though it is their water supply. And so I always recommend people to go there. It's on the other side of the island from Bar Harbor, so not as many of the visitors go there, but it is one of the most spectacular places. And you could walk up, you could also travel up in some of the different paths there and get a larger view of not only Long Pond, but Eagle Lake as well on the opposite side. So you can get to the peak of the mountain and see both at the same time. So it's definitely worth going there. My other one, which I just found last time I was up there 2 years ago, was Bass Harbor Lighthouse, which is insane to go to if every visitor goes there, because it's a beautiful view of the lighthouse as well as the water. But I learned from the local that if you start on the path that is designed for you to walk along the trail there and bear off, you could actually go on an unmarked trail right along the water, along the coast. It's all rock. It's not the easiest path to go along, but I spent an entire day just walking along that coastline, and you could see obviously the movement of the sun as well as different views of the lighthouse. And just it's like being on a deserted island by yourself for a day. It is so worth going out there. And all it is bearing off the path at one point and walking out towards the rocks along the rocky coast. And it's just spectacular. It's one of the most beautiful places I've been. I've done a lot of soul searching in that area.
Oh, I bet. It sounds fabulous. I have actually been in the fall. I'm just going to throw that out there. You definitely need to go in the fall, but if you can avoid Columbus Day weekend, because it's still pretty busy up until Columbus
Sure.
Day, and then go after that, you'll have the place to yourself probably. I love all the local spots you mentioned. Do you have some favorite other spots that you take a lot of pictures or that you wish you had your camera besides the
Oh,
lighthouse?
I mean, the best place for pictures is Cadillac Mountain. If you're willing to deal with the crowds, I know at the moment it's kind of a controlled environment because of COVID, but I believe one of the photos that I had sent you guys was from Cadillac Mountain. And the last time I was there, I happened to be uh, doing a vision quest again with the same person, but there was a woman there who had never been there before, and I'm like, I'll take you up to Cadillac Mountain because you have to go like 3:34 in the morning in order to see the sunrise.
Yeah.
And it had to be the most spectacular sunrise I have ever seen there. It is just, if you could find yourself a little space, because there's probably about 1,000 people up there, it is just spectacular. I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
It's the earliest place where the sun rises on the East Coast. At least that's their claim to fame.
That's amazing. I can only imagine how
Right.
beautiful that is to see the sun come up over that for the first time. Yeah, being
If
being
you're,
the first
again,
one.
if you're willing to get up early enough, it's definitely worth half-hour drive, whatever it is, from where you're staying.
So is there a walk-in or you park close? How is it when you said there's a half an hour drive to get up there? Then are you right there or do you have to hike up a little ways? I've never been.
Very little hiking, maybe 5 minutes tops. There is a
Okay.
parking lot up there. I mean, it's all the drive up Cadillac, and I've hiked it as well as walked it or driven it. And the hike is tough. Not so much up, but down is tough. But the drive up is also beautiful because you're seeing the coastline as well as you're going.
That's
It's a
amazing.
tough drive though. You have to have a good car to get up there.
Straight up.
With a little power. But I think they're doing it by bus now because of COVID. So
Oh yeah. Well, and it's probably better on traffic if we can, use one vehicle to get people up
yes.
there for parking and other
Yeah.
reasons. And
that park does have its own bus service, so it is very convenient. I would recommend that for anyone who goes. I mean, I've done it. You could hike to wherever you want to go from there.
yeah.
But that is one of the best ways of doing it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what would you suggest for somebody who wants to go? Do you have any tips for where to stay? And, sounds like you've been in the summer. That's when you would recommend. Oh, I'll let you answer that question though. Let's hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always stayed in Southwest Harbor. It's a little quieter there. I think that's a beautiful area to stay. If you like the crazy, you can go to Bar Harbor. If I go there, I go there one day and that's about it. And because I like to do the tourist thing one day while I'm there. But it's also nice to stay away from it.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason.
Unless you like to shop or something.
No.
Yeah, but that's part of the reason you go to a national park is to kind of get away from it all. So you don't want to be surrounded by people, right?
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, that was our 7 minutes. That was such a great story. These are amazing places to go within that national park. And it sounds like you will continue to keep going, Marty. So thanks for taking a few minutes and sharing your story and your view of the park. And for everyone else, thank you for listening. And we have a new Patreon account. So if you want to help support us, you're welcome. You can see that link in our description and continue to travel with us through real stories from real people. Thanks, Marty.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.